I did not look at the financials. No. Good night.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so I'll call our meeting to order. And Kevin, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Mrs. Sweet?
Here.
Mr. Bear?
Here.
Mr. Whitaker?
Here.
Mrs. Fogel?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
Here.
All members of council are present, so please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And good evening. This is the regular session of the Enon Village Council, and this is Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. And let's see, additions to the agenda. Mr. Hannah, I know you had an item.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'd like to request a moment of silence in order to honor the passing of Mayor Howard's father and Councilman Babcock's mother, and respectfully, and if we could. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hannah. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And let's go into the minutes. First of all, thank you for covering the last meeting.
No problem at all.
We'll look at the minutes from Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. And if council is satisfied with those, we'll entertain a motion in a second to approve as presented or with corrections.
The only correction I saw, it doesn't appear my votes are in there for each of the items.
Oh,
It's probably because I was out the meeting before.
okay, I'll get them correct.
But with that change, I'm good with how it presented.
To see, there was a clerical, let me see where that might be. Oh, on staffing for the police department, we've got a remark that we'd like to add more officers to the fleet. Now, I'm not sure if we're talking about vehicles or about personnel, but somehow that just didn't seem to be what we might want to be one to say.
What do we need to correct it to?
More officers to the department, or
Yeah.
right below staffing, Mike, where you see right before it goes to the liquor permit.
Actually, yeah, oh, no, it's actually in the process of adding officers to the,
Officers to the department, is that how it should
Officers.
read?
I can go back and listen to it again too as well.
Any other corrections?
No. I'll move we accept the minutes with the noted changes.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Okay, those minutes are approved with the corrections. And let's go into the financial report. You got a cash summary by fund. Funds are looking good. We have not, and you have revenue status and also the appropriation status. We have not, as of last Friday, received our first half of real estate taxes. I spoke with Laura, and they had not been received at that time. I'm hoping we receive those this week. However, the general fund is still in pretty good shape. The stimulus money that the village will be receiving is the amount is still unknown. I did have her check again with the auditor's office this afternoon, and there was no number that was given yet. So when that number is known, we will make sure that everybody is brought up to speed on that one as well. We have no presentations. One item of communication that I wanted to bring up to see kind of what the consensus of the council is on this, and I do understand it was discussed at the last meeting. I think we're in a position now where we can open our meetings up for public attendance in person. I know Kevin has worked hard to do spacing, to space out the chairs and see where we're at, contacted the health department. As long as we do temperature checks, masking, social distancing, then we should be in good shape. And if that is also the same opinion of the council, then I would say the first meeting in April, let's open it back up to the public.
It's good
Should
with
we
me.
have some limitation based on the amount of distancing that we have out there per chairs?
There's what,
12?
12?
So not to exceed the.
Not to exceed 12?
the
Not to
number of
exceed 12.
12. Yeah.
So we may want to put out on Facebook or however we're going to announce it. Should probably try to get here a little bit early.
Yep.
Once we meet that number, then we're going to have to shut it out. Letting people in, but we'll still be broadcasting through the website, so everyone can still be a part of the meeting. We'll just have limited capability of having people in here.
In
And-
person versus, through the web.
What I was thinking, if we did have something of interest to the public where we may get a large crowd, and, it hasn't happened in a while, but we never know what's going to come up. If somebody wanted to be put on the agenda and we go back to that,
Yeah.
then we would take maybe the first 12, and then if people had to be rotated, but, typically we don't have that issue, but it could.
Yeah,
So,
that's good with me. If
Okay.
they want to contact the village office throughout the week before the meeting to let us know to get on the agenda. Yeah, I think that would be how we should start the list of people. If someone's on the agenda, they obviously should be one of the people that are permitted in. But yeah,
Chief, you're going to have a swearing in of an officer as well, will you not? If we do this in public?
Yes, we have a couple coming up.
And sometimes we get at least some early people, that would like to attend the swearing in. I don't know if you want to make an exception for that or something like that, because they rarely stay for the entire meeting.
Exactly right.
They're just here. So
I think we could do that safely.
I think so too. I agree, sir.
Or maybe on our wish list, if these additional monies come in, have some type of outside speaker availability that if it would come about at some point, we've got a lot of people here that we may have had in the past at controversial times. Just a simple outdoor speaker where people could actually sit out there and hear the meeting, at least from the audio side of it, for what it's worth.
Well, Kevin, can we take care of that from the staff standpoint and go ahead and let people know we'll open it back up? And
Yep.
if they wish to speak to council, address the council, they need to be put on the agenda, and they will be included first for a seat.
All right, yep, not
Okay.
a problem.
Thank you. Were there any other items of communication? Mrs.
Yes, sir.
Sweet, I think you had one.
I do. It was brought to my attention that the retention pond at the new school site does not have proper fencing and could be a hazard to our young citizens. So I don't know if how we would need to address that, perhaps law enforcement,
I can get hold of
Kevin?
the building
superintendent.
superintendent there, and construction
appreciate
foreman
that.
or something, yeah. So I noticed they did take it down, because I thought they were gonna start grading, taking some of that dirt out from behind and stuff. They're getting to the point now where the old building's gonna be coming down here shortly, and so they're gonna be moving some dirt once that stuff is out of there and stuff, but I
It
will.
needs to be safe
Right.
between jobs
Right.
times. But
Well,
so,
and it's
thank
not
you.
real noticeable, at least it wasn't to me, because the other fence is back up. So unless you're kind of looking for it on the back side of it, they need to have something on the back side. So they're good on the street side.
There are 4 sides. The one side has a fence. The other 3 sides do not.
Yeah.
I drove by on my way here.
I was just there yesterday and I didn't even notice that.
Okay, I will take care of that, yes.
Thank you.
Any other items of communication? Okay, let's go into staff reports. And Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Council, public. First item on the agenda there is the resolution for our ODOT salt contract, our salt bid. So I think that we need to, I don't know if you want me to read that whole thing, or it's kind of a standard thing that you pass every year, so.
If it's the council's wishes for you to do that, then yes, you have to. If they
Yeah.
don't, you can read it by title.
So that's pretty much standard what we've done in the past, so.
I'm okay with reading it by title.
We both.
Well, this would be emergency resolution number 2021 dash, we'll fill that number in later, I guess.
Right.
Village of Enon resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT winter contract for road salt. Resolution authorizing the participation in ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2021.
I'll move that we waive the 3 reading rule.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
And then I will move that we accept the emergency resolution as presented.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
All right.
That resolution does pass unanimously. And Kevin, if you will get with Laura, and we'll fill that number in for which one it is.
Hey, Kevin, just as a reference, how much of our salt reserve do we use this winter since we had probably more snow than we've had in a while?
We just actually got our last 2 loads in, so we're sitting pretty good, actually. Yeah,
Good.
so,
Did we fulfill the obligation, Kevin, then? So we had
Yes.
to. Okay, good.
yeah.
Because I know that's one part of, you gotta go ahead and
Yep.
take delivery of
Yep,
everything.
we took
Okay.
delivery of our last obligated two loads, so it's in
Good deal.
the storage right now, so yep, we're doing
Thank
good.
you.
It looks like 100 tons is what we are.
Correct. Yep,
And we have to get 90% of that.
yeah.
Let's hope we don't use any more for the rest of this year, at least
Yeah,
for a
Yeah.
few months.
right. All right, the next item on my agenda is the bid award for Bob White, the culvert project. I put in your packet a list of the bid tab there with the 3 lowest bids. The lowest bid was Performance Site Development, second was Outdoor Enterprise, third was Durst Brothers Excavating. I did request a list of references from Performance Site Development, and that is included as well. I did call about 14 or 15 of their references. And their reference response is on the following page there. Following couple pages, I should say, with them listed at the top there. So it gives you kind of an idea what the references did say about them, about their work. And then I did call as well Outdoor Enterprises, the second lowest, their references that they supplied, and that is on page 6. Page 7 is Performance Site Development references. So I know that the lowest and best is what kind of the rule is. But considering their references and what they had to say, I did reach out to Paul Cavanaugh and send him the same information as you all have. And I did enclose his letter back to me for your reference as well. So I don't know if you have to you want to say anything.
Well, just a quick word. During the bidding process before everybody left, I made it very clear that the Village of Enon does exercise the right that we have per Ohio Revised Code 731.14, that we don't necessarily select the lowest, but the lowest and best bidder.
This value.
And so everybody was put on notice that we use that particular statute, and it's been backed up by our solicitor. And Kevin, I think you have a recommendation for the council after reviewing the references.
After reviewing the references, and let me see where my paper's at here. There was a $8,700 difference between the two. I would recommend that council award the Bob White project to the second lowest outdoor enterprise.
I think that's a no-brainer, the way it appears.
Based on the references that are there, unsatisfied versus completely satisfied.
Correct, based on their references that they supplied me, so,
Right.
yeah, so.
Can you state the amount, please, Kevin, of what that bid was?
The performance site was $108,507, and the outdoor enterprise, the second lowest, was $117,273,
Okay.
with a difference of $8,766.
So we need a motion to approve the recommendation from our administrator.
I'll make the motion that we award the contract for Bob White to Outdoor Enterprise based off of our discretion.
I'll second that. And thank you, Kevin, for reaching out and getting the references for us. So we could-
Excellent.
You're welcome, thank you.
Excellent research and analysis.
Any discussion? Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, what did I do with my paper now?
Can I ask a question? Kevin, when will that project begin?
I will have to research that in that big file right there, and I'll email you. I'll email everybody when that's gonna begin, so.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is update on the county resurfacing project that we normally get into. Last year, we did at Fay Drive. This year, I had them give us a price, again, on Coons Drive for basically one reason. I mean, so that whole area can be done, rather than going to a different area in town and leaving at least one street, that'll be done. So, and that was on the list last year as well, Fay and Coons. So, that price came in at $23,308.90, and you have a copy of that as well in your packet. So they need, I guess I would need to know if we want to pursue that, and if so, then I can get back with Dean Fenton, and once the contracts get out, then an ordinance will have to be passed for that as well, so.
It looks like real close to what we spent last year. isn't it,
Actually, it
Kevin?
was like $57 difference or something, yeah. Yeah,
Like I say,
so
real close.
It was real close.
Yeah, 23,000, 57 is pretty darn close.
Yeah, it was really close. So, and like I said, that area will be done, and Coons did need done. We had it, like I said, we had it on the list last year, but Fay was a little bit worse shape than Coons. So, so that's where we're at on that. Any questions? Any comments?
How does that affect the last meeting we talked about, or maybe it was the meeting before, Enon Xenia, as far as going from, I believe, Dayton Springfield to Southern
There's
Vista?
two different projects.
Right.
Vista, yeah.
Yeah, two different projects.
So is that this year as well? We're looking at
It's 23.
Yeah.
23 is when the
Well, that's the latest it would be. Once the grant comes in, and
Right.
that probably won't come in, Jeremy, until, probably not until early 22
Okay.
anyway.
I just want to make sure we're, I feel like that should be our
Priority.
primary
Oh, sure.
objective is to get that, make sure we're saving money back to make sure we can
Right.
meet whatever we're gonna have to cover even with the grant, so. Yeah,
Hey.
if that's not gonna be till 22, okay.
Based upon their estimate, this project will not impact our ability to pay for the other.
Okay.
Right.
Good question. So we'll need a motion for our administrator to get back with the county and approve this project.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
And if I could, just for a moment, since we brought up the South Senior Street, did the council give, did you talk about it at the last meeting? Did the council kind of give the consensus that they wanted to go ahead and with the grant with Clark County for that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And item number 4, you touched on, about the stimulus funding, the additional stimulus funding. We have not heard basically how much we're going to be getting or anything like that. So once we hear something, we'll let everybody know. So, and I think that's all I have. Oh, in your, one last thing in your packet, there's a letter from Preston. We're going to be, the admin side's going to be losing him. The police side's going to be gaining him. So his last day, he turned in his 2 weeks. His last day is April 5th. So
That's not the first time that's happened.
that's fine. No, that's all I have.
Congratulations to him. Good, glad to see that. Questions for our administrator?
Do we have I know we had the list for the stimulus funding before. Did we have anything left over that we didn't get to? I guess this is a question for kind of both of you.
I didn't have anything.
You mean projects or?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe so. I'd have to, that was a lot.
mean, I think-
I mean, we're good.
We'll have some time to brainstorm again, but, you know.
We actually put the leftover money into salaries and wages for
Right.
police.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Any other questions? Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council, residents. The first thing I do have is a staffing update. We swore in Officer Thomas Tyree Jr. as a part-time police officer. He comes to us retired from the military and San Antonio Police Department in Texas. 30 years military, 20 years law enforcement. He was sworn in. He'll be starting his training soon, and we'll do a formal swear-in when we get some time. And also, we'll have to do Officer Doug McHenry, who accepted the part-time, or full-time, sorry. I have another part-timer, would be Preston. He's got just a physical he's got to take later this week, scheduled for that Thursday, and we're waiting on a couple references to call us back. It's looking fairly, looking good. So hopefully have him maybe by next week. Fingers crossed. I received a parade request from the VFW for the Memorial Day parade. I believe they have it May 30th is what I want to say, but I want to double check, yes. Due to the COVID restrictions at the moment, obviously I can't sign off on this, but I just wanted to bring that to council's attention. It was May 30th is what they were requesting. But unless somebody can enlighten me, I believe the parades are still canceled, so I'll just have that on hold for now.
And that's a county thing or a state?
It's the one where they come down South Xenia to the...
No, the
oh.
Regulations that are stopping us from approving it. Is that a county health department thing or?
I
state?
believe that was state.
It'll be from the state.
Yeah, I believe it was a state.
The governor's guidelines, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I know that some health hospitals and stuff had did some kind of drive-by, so to speak, but I don't, to my knowledge, there's no parade permits. I can look into it more, but...
And hopefully some of those will be relaxed by this time. But if not, then you just have to follow the rules.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, we want the parade, but we have to follow the rules, so we'll leave it set there for a minute. April 24th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It would be the National Drug Take Back Day. I emailed that information to Administrative Assistant Christie yesterday. I'm glad they're coming back in the spring. We were behind there for a while, so because of COVID restrictions, we'll have the front vestibule door unlocked there at the Government Center, and the residents can just drop them there in the drop box, like which we have available all the time during normal business hours. But the 24th will be on a Saturday, I believe. That'd be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for participating in that, the DEA takes the drugs off our hands at no cost, so, and disposes of them, which is,
Good deal.
yes, it's a very good deal. I spoke with Teddy Tate from Statewide Ford. We were the first patrol car package that he had sold as a salesman, so he had called with some questions, which was nice because he informed me that the production of our new cruiser is supposed to start in May with Ford. I don't know how long it takes them to build one, but tried Googling it. Haven't really found that yet. But the good news is we'll be hitting the production line in May. I had a little bit of a error on my payroll with one of our officers missed one of her raises for the pay scale. That's been taken care of and addressed and forwarded on to Laura. I oversight on my part on the part-time part, but when she was full-time in October, missed her year, just which we've discussed are already, the evaluations and pay scale. So at any rate, she brought that to my attention, and it was taken care of. Speedway gave us a nice donation a few months back for some new body cameras to replace our ones that we currently have, which were purchased in 2013. It's Axon Enterprises is the one that provides our cameras. We were one of the first in the Miami Valley area, according to most, that had body cameras. They have been very good to us. I believe I might have had to send one back since then to just, yes. Back then, we originally paid $400 individually for each camera. That did not give us the software to upload it and use their cloud-based and their editing, program software that comes with the devices, which is at a paid cost. And that has caused some issues for me, our agency, when we've received the records requests as far as editing and stuff. It's taken some extreme amount of time. However, since we've had the body cameras in place, it has reduced officer complaints from the public. I don't have an exact percentage, but I always say I know it was 80 or 90%, which I'm very comfortable saying it's that high. It's probably higher. And also, it's a good training tool and aid. And as you know, they're in the process of mandating them nationwide. There's legislation out from the federal government for that. That being said, to prepare for that, we were getting new body cameras. Ours needed replaced anyway. I stick with the same company, which they have an Axon Body 3. It's a little bit more in price. They're $6.99 a piece, but we would buy 4 more. And then I went ahead and had them. We would want to go with what's called Evidence Sync, and that is it's good for keeping track, and then chain of custody. But more importantly, it literally limits any altercation from human error. You couldn't go on. You'd actually have to physically take the device apart to remove camera footage. So that is a yearly cost, though. They do require one professional license, which is approximately $468 from my quote that I will email out to you folks tomorrow. And then a basic licenses are $180 a piece. We will be able to get away with at now probably 3 of those and 1 professional license. And then there's some storage a la carte. I went with kind of the lowest because we do have other means that we can offload our storage to hold it for later. And then there's a startup kit. Bottom line is we received $5,000 from Speedway toward the replacement of new cameras, and the estimate on this is a little higher than that. It is $6,193. Now that includes new carriers because they're a new design. So agency out-of-pocket expense, since Speedway made that donation, be $1,093. However, they do require a contract with the licensing, and the minimum I could go with 3. So I asked counsel if I got permission to speak with Mr. Kavanaugh to go over that. And also would like to point out, so year one, everything, license, cameras, everything is a total of $6,193. So that's included in the licenses. And then year two would be $1,177.08. And then again, year three, the same price, $1,177.08. And that is for that cloud system and storage, which comes with all the editing software, and it's amazing. These new cameras, I would like to point out that they have the ability for a supervision to actually remote in and watch the camera if they would like. It's kind of nice. So if we had, say, God forbid, an active shooter event or a large scale incident where we had a frontline officer that was up close and we couldn't physically get to him for safety, we would be able to remote in and see and hear what they had going on, or even any other type of call. I think that is remarkable that they're able to come out with that type of technology. So,
Chief, two quick questions. How long have we had the current cameras? I know we were one of the first, like you said, first agencies in the area.
since 2013, so
Yeah,
it's about 8 years.
2013. Okay. And I guess just to comment, my take on the whole thing is I don't know how we can afford not to have this, for $1,000 a year after the initial cost. That's protection for everybody.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And that to me, we were hesitant about doing that, but I can tell you just off the last 8 years that we've had them with the records request, I have to use a different software to edit some of that content that's not public record.
Right.
And we only spent $100 for that, but it takes a lot of hours.
A lot of manpower.
Yes, a lot of manpower. So this will definitely alleviate a lot of that because it's quicker. But
I'm just interested, Mike, why were you hesitant? I agree with Tim. This seems almost like a no-brainer. We can't afford not to.
because it was very expensive back then and we didn't have a whole lot of money, and we thought that we could handle it, which we did, but that was newer, right? I mean, that didn't exist. We started out with GoPros. I mean, they were great, but as far as the editing and that stuff, we just didn't know. We just didn't want to spend a bunch of money because we thought it was part of the sales pitch.
Would it
And-
serve? Okay.
Yeah. So
Would it serve any purpose to assign those to each officer and us maybe extending our pockets a little bit to have them to assign to individual officers?
Well, actually, it's what's called evidence.com. That's the software. What the officer will have to do now do with these that they don't do now, they would have to go on, they would log into the evidence.com with the username and password, and they would sign that camera out. And that is chain of custody. So that camera, body cam, would be assigned to them, and nobody else would be able to sign a body camera out on that user account, which is why I went with a total of 3 accounts because I didn't see us having 3 officers actively working more than 3. And I have a supervisor, the chief, having a professional account. So that would be 4 accounts that we could sign out cameras on that. Plus, we still have our old ones that do work that would, if we had that many
necessary.
people out. But so they would have to sign them out individually. 4 cameras is plenty. I mean, the cameras are $700 a piece. We could buy one for each officer, but I know from what we have, that's plenty. The rotation of the 4 has worked.
And that's
fine.
two, we could rotate them around where, next year maybe by 2 or 1 or something like that, maybe.
Well, they're there and they plug them in, they charge. Their battery life is phenomenal. The recording time it's just, I put one out at 9 hours and 9.5 hours of medium quality video with audio. The battery ended up running out. That's remarkable.
But it sounds like this system is going to be superior to what we started out with. And I know when you get stuff new, the real life part of it brings all these other things to the surface that you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You're addressing a lot of those with this newer system.
Yeah, and it's the same company. It's the
Right,
same
sure.
equipment, same company we're using. We're just utilizing their evidence.com, the software part, and also because they're a newer device, there's docking stations the docking stations are $200 a piece, but they will have to plug into a LAN cable. So right now we plug it into a computer. The officer has to go in, manually click on, fill the boxes in, and hit download, and then whatever the download speed is. With the new, they'll take it off, they'll set it back in the docking station, sign into evidence.com, mark off on it. It's automatically downloading once it hits the docking station for our Ethernet lines.
Does anybody have a problem with what Mike is proposing?
No, I just wanted to ask, Chief, is any value added in having at least one spare?
I'm sorry.
Is there any value added in having at least one spare, one additional one? I mean, for $800,
I mean, to buy another one, we have the 4 other ones that would, but we don't have 4 active units out at once, so we always technically have a spare. But no, there's nothing that says we can't purchase more if we wanted more. And I told the rep, who's been very great, or our original quote was $30,000 over a 5-year period, but I can send that out, but I shimmied it down to our use, right? And this is functionally the lowest we could get it with, and not make us, have to
break the bank.
Yeah, not just break the bank, but have we got to do that because we don't have that. This will be very good for us. There shouldn't be any hiccups with this.
But Mike, if you find a need, if you find that
Some more?
you can add on to this.
Yeah,
very easily. Okay.
One more thing with that. There is rumor that the state of Ohio is going to, or somebody is going to, there will be grant options for body cameras once they're mandatory. And I would definitely like to take the opportunity to apply for some grant funding to either reimburse or purchase more. So I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't want to break the bank, but in the same token, we definitely need new body cameras because we do.
So it sounds like to me, regardless if we had one for every officer, they're still going to have to go in, sign in with their username and password, regardless if it was their camera or one of the 4 you're getting.
Yes. Yeah, it wouldn't matter if we had a camera for each person. They have to. It's controlled by the basically the account, and they would have to sign. Yeah, they'd have to sign off to activate it. And again, we don't need one for every officer. We will need the carriers, which I have in here, and we may have to purchase some additional ones. There are so many different mount styles. Some of them go through the external carrier and they're screwed through, and they're a permanent fixture. So that would, if the officer chooses to have that one, that's going to be part of their uniform. We're not going to make them, unscrew it. And then there's some MOLLE mounts, and then there's some different belt clips. So I got a variety. And if the officer wants a different style, we will get them one, and then they will. That's not going to be traded off,
Sure.
like they are now. Sometimes you got to wipe syrup or pop off of one.
And like Tim said, as long as we have the ability to go back and, say we find out we do need to order another one, or we can make changes to the different styles of mounting, I think we're good.
Yeah, and I asked those questions. I am able to add on more storage, more gigabytes on the cloud storage. I'm able to add on more professional licensing accounts, also basic user accounts. We're able to do all that. And as far as the docking station, the smallest multi-port docking station they offered was an 8-port docking station, which was $14,000 or $1,495. Or you could buy the individual ones at $200 each, and that's obviously $700 cheaper, so I opted with that.
Mrs. Sweet, did you have a question?
I do have a question. Do we need to consider getting extra batteries so there's always a charged battery in case, like you said, the batteries run down after a certain amount of time?
The good thing about Axon, if they're anything like the ones we currently have, that would not be an issue. They are top-notch. To the answer your question, no. They're an internal battery, and they have a long battery life.
Right.
Any other questions for our chief on this topic? Okay, if everybody's in consensus,
Absolutely.
And he said something about needing a motion for...
I just wanted to, because it requires a 3-year contract, I just wanted to make sure it was okay with council. I contacted our solicitor, Paul Kavanaugh, to review it, and then obviously if he's okay with it, to enter into it, since it does have a 2 years of
I'm going to go ahead and do a
additional bills.
motion anyway.
I think that would be a great idea.
So moved?
Second.
I'll second, yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion or questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Any other items, Chief?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, good report. Thank you very much. Any questions, any additional questions for the chief?
Yeah, cruiser cam, the old cruiser, while we're talking about new technology, where's the camera system out on it as far as functionality? Is it still, does all the work? Are we still in good shape off of it, or where are we at?
It's a piece of equipment sitting in there. I couldn't tell you if it worked or not. It wasn't working very good before. We had told the prosecutor a while back that we were not going to use it because it's not reliable. I would like to, when we have the money, they have an in-car camera system that meets right up with the body cameras, and though they are expensive, that is definitely something we want to do. But it is costly, but I would like to pursue that avenue eventually, but that's going to have to be in another year, or we get some moderate monies in. But yes, no, that camera's not
working?
used, and none of the other cruisers have a camera in them. But we should get them. And again, maybe when the grant money comes in from the state, that's another thing I was thinking. But you're probably, and I'm just ballparking, I know it's somewhere around 8 or 9K a piece. It's up there.
Per camera?
The system and the camera, because
Okay.
they do the download. I mean, that's just me internet searching. Don't quote me on that, but they're up there.
I don't know if that could come in under COVID money if on this future, but if possible, that might be something to look at. I'm not seeing the correlation, but if some way you can mix that up, then yeah, that might be something we'd look forward to.
I look for grant money to come out for cruiser cameras and body cameras, because if you're going to mandate a police department to do something, the governor, I mean, they know that agencies don't have the money.
I didn't know, and I don't like the fact that the camera's not working in the car.
That camera, the software, the camera system, and all that, it's just outdated. I mean, they're so old.
That's not good.
Pardon me, what?
I'm sorry, any other questions for the chief?
I just have one more thing. Last meeting, you mentioned something about, only because we have different public watching, hopefully, and there's no other way to get it out to the public, but about spoofing regarding the false unemployment claims, and encourage citizens to let the police department know about them so that research can be done about, they can be tracked, et cetera. Just reinforce that.
We're trying to just pass the information on to the unemployment office, so maybe in their systems they can flag those names, but they seem to be pretty overwhelmed, and there are two types of scams. You have the federal COVID scams with the stimulus, and then you have the state and local. They're coming in every week.
Okay,
That's.
good.
I wish I could catch the folks, but nothing.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Chief, thanks. Good report.
Thank you.
Appreciate both you guys. Let's move on to committee reports. The Drinking Water Source Protection Committee will be meeting on Friday, April 9th at 3 p.m. We did not have a meeting last year because of COVID. That'll be right here at the Government Center, and we'll get an update on where we stand on water quality and any other issues that might be coming up in our Drinking Water Source Protection Program. So, any other committee reports?
The Public Service Committee will be meeting again on Thursday, April 1st, in here at 7 p.m. And Kevin, if you make sure that gets noted, thank you.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
We have no old business listed, no new business. Let's go. Kevin, do we have any callers in this evening?
Nope,
Not a one.
not a one.
Okay.
Before we adjourn, Mayor, just a reminder that the Clark County Health District meeting is Thursday night. Let me double check that. It was sent out to us, but It's in the evening. If you can bear with me a second. I forgot about
And
that.
I had not opened that up yet. Thanks for bringing that up. though.
Thursday at 6.
6 o'clock.
It's a virtual.
The District Advisory Council meeting of Clark County Combined Health Districts on Thursday, March 25th. It'll be held virtually. I think most of us got the invite, and it looks like it's at 6 p.m. So,
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
7:44.
So.